Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. So here it is, Saturday, June 22nd, right at 10 a.m. The temperature is 84 degrees, the humidity is 72%, but because of the time of year, it actually feels like it's 91 degrees out here. So my time is going to be relatively brief, and I'll explain what that means here in a second once I give you a pretty thorough rundown of things that have occurred and have not occurred over the last month and a few days. So because of all this, I have some notes, so bear with me, but I'll make it quick. So May 18th, if you didn't catch that video, that's when I transferred the frames from the old equipment into the Hoover Hive equipment, which looks absolutely beautiful out here, and I'm sure it will patina just fine over the next few seasons. June 6th, so fast forward a few weeks later, June 6th, I added the 2.5 gallon division board feeders into all of the hives, which also gave me a chance to briefly look through the hives, mainly because I needed to remove 2 frames. And that is when I found an unmarked queen in number 17, got her marked and released, but at the same time, the hive right before that, which is number 12, I made the determination they were queenless, and then I moved 2 frames from 17 over to 12. I marked the top bar with just a green dot, so that is one of the things that's on my agenda today. And of course I have number 12 marked with a brick to indicate they may have been queenless. So once I get down to number 12, I'm really looking at those 2 frames specifically to see if they have developed queen cells, or if they have, if the queen cells have hatched by now, because that was 16 days ago. So today will also be the first look at swarms number 12 and 13. I caught those a few weeks ago, transferred them into the 10 frame equipment, and haven't looked at them since. So today will be the first look, and those hives are also marked with a brick, and they're numbered number 20 and number 3 down here. So yeah, it's been 35 days in between inspections. I don't really count the time adding the division board feeders, but it was pretty beneficial to find an unmarked queen. She just happened to be on the 2nd frame, I think. And a few other things to recap. June 9th, I fed them all. I fed every single hive 2.5 gallons of feed. Watch that video, it's the one right before this. It's called Bulk Feeding Made Easy. If you have quite a few hives, or if you're just tired of mixing sugar water in small batches or 5 gallon batches and hauling that out to your bee yard, whatever that looks like for you, check out that video. I can't believe I haven't been doing this the whole time. And then I popped the tops on, I think, June 16th, because I was treating, I'm in my cycle of treating the hives with oxalic acid now that the well, the supers are still on, but they're acting as an extended brood chamber. I'm not pulling any more honey. So I started treating, came out one evening to treat, figured it had been a week since feeding the hives. So I just popped the tops, the lids, or slid the top box over to take a look at the division board feeder. And no kidding, ended up checking, I think, practically every single hive. No kidding, bone dry. So within a week, from June 9th to June 16th, the hives consumed 2.5 gallons of feed, and I haven't fed them since. So it's been about a week. I plan on feeding them, I think, next weekend, closer to July, to take them through the first week or 2 of July, hopefully, and just keep feeding. Just keep feeding, keep feeding, keep feeding until fall. And then of course I'll have to assess how the fall flow is going. But yeah, the plan is to feed them heavily this year so they can draw out any new frames, build wax where they need to, and just really get fat and heavy going into the winter. But yeah, today's plan really is to go through all the hives, pop the top. I don't have any queen excluders on at this point, so pop the top, pull most likely a center frame or 2, check for eggs. If I see eggs, put them back together and call it a day. But then of course give some special attention to the hives with bricks, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, so I'll spend a little more time in those. But other than that, I'm just checking to see if they're queen right by, again, pulling a few frames. If I find eggs, good to go, put them back together and call it a day. All right, down here at the very first hive, which is number 16, I just gave them some smoke, but this is a swarm, later season swarm possibly, but look at all the bees in this top box, which is really impressive. So, you know, bees get squished. He's got to do some cleanup each time. But yeah, let me pop the inner cover here. I have no doubt they are doing okay. But nonetheless, oh wow, that's a holy smokes! Check this out. So I don't know if that's from the feeder. There seems to be a little spacing issue, if you want to call it that, with the inner cover. That yeah, I was not expecting. Oh, okay, they actually do have feed. That's right. So all hives, I do remember that. All the hives minus this one really took to the feed. And this feeder might be an inch down. But yeah, check out all of the comb they're building. And in fact, because of this, which I doubt is due to the feeder, there might be a flow still going on, which is fantastic. I'm actually going to add a medium box to this hive today and just give them the extra space and let them have at it. All right. Yeah, decision time, right? I'm still gonna pull a frame. I'll show you all that maybe. One of the center frames. I'm curious to see how much work they've done on some of the newer frames I gave them, how much wax they've drawn out, but that caught me by surprise. That was not there a week ago because I popped the lid on this to check the feeders, like I was saying in the introduction, and I was surprised they had as much feed as they had, but they definitely did not have that much drawn comb, and to include honey. Always interesting. All right, so I just pulled the third frame, considering it was one of the newer frames, and they have drawn these frames out real quick, which is fantastic. I'm not going to mess with the hives too much. The goal today is really not to disturb them. But yeah, this one's looking very nice. Nice population of bees. Again, the amount of drawn comb on top of the top bars with food stores, honey stores, that really caught me off guard. So I'm just going to get them put back together, and I'll come back out later this afternoon, because they definitely need an extra box. They need space, and if they're drawing out wax like that, they might make good use of that extra space with the extra box real quick. All right, so here I am at the very next colony, and they got the same thing going on, and look at all of this bridge comb drawn wax on top of the top bars. I am just thoroughly amazed, and I'm wondering if this is the result of feeding them 2.5 gallons of feed when I'm assuming there was a dearth going on, and they just put it to quick use. So the other plan is for the stronger colonies, the colonies that are a single deep with a medium box. If they are this strong and the population of bees is big enough, right, or enough to draw out wax real quick, I might give these colonies another medium in order to eventually transfer that medium over to the single deeps in preparation for winter. But that's just a few thoughts. I am still just thoroughly amazed. I'm gonna pull a few frames, of course, see if the queen's moved up into the top box and start laying, but holy smokes, it's just amazing. Yeah, check this out. So it's hard to say if it's natural nectar or the sugar water I fed them, because I don't dye the sugar water, which is a cool thing to do to really determine how the bees are using the feed. But yeah, I have no doubts they will have enough food, and this is not the only frame. There's several frames that look exactly like this. Yeah, no doubts they will have enough food to make it through the dearth into the fall, and then of course this kind of TBD on what the fall nectar flow looks like. There's some small patches of brood up in the top box. I don't see any eggs, so I may transition down to the bottom box just to pull a few frames and check for eggs, of course. Kind of a customary first look at the bottom box, but yeah, this colony has a ton of bees. So again, I'm just gonna pull a few frames, check for eggs, and call it a day. All right, I decided to pull the frame feeder out. I figured that might be a little easier, and it was, to give myself the space I need to pull the frames out. So first look together, that's the side that faces the frame feeder. No real brood to speak of. Also, the outside frames are more so food stores. But yeah, we got a small patch of capped brood, some open larvae on the very first frame. I think I saw a lot of brood on the outside frame, or the outside of this frame. Yep. Okay. And even more brood on this side. Again, really checking for eggs though, so I'm just going to keep on moving along. Probably find eggs more so on the center frames. So I'll share that with you here in a second. No need to find eggs when you can find the queen. So let me get everything put back together and call it a day on this one. They're looking great. So hive in the second position, absolutely fantastic. Again, customary first look. So this is the hive in the third position, and they have a little feed left, and it looks like they've produced some nice wax on some of the frames. With some of the frames, the newer frames I provided, the ones that aren't discolored just yet, it looks like they still have some work to do. So this will be, or should be, a pretty quick look at the hive in the third position. So yeah, I'm just going to pull a few frames, a few of the center frames of course on this one, and see how the brood pattern is looking. Yeah, just a quick look at the fourth frame. So basically the frame right in the middle. Not bad. Let's take a quick look at the next frame together. Also not terrible. You can see a lot of small larvae. And of course I am continuously looking for the queen. She should be marked. They're all marked. Unless they've swarmed, which is possible. But yeah, one more frame to go. Overall not bad. They're making use of the feed, so it's always a good thing. Alright, I just had her, and she's kind of hard to find because she actually has a red dot. Yeah, so there she is right there, if you can see her. I'm just going to get her caged. I'm going to refresh her dot with the red pen from last year. She still has some nice size to her and no concerns with the brood pattern, so I'm just going to get her freshened up. Alright, yeah, nice to see. Still queen right. Brood's looking okay. Alright, there we go, and she was actually pretty quick to get out. Alright, that's it for this one. Alright, again, quick first look. This is the hive down in the fourth position. It's actually number 2. I'm assuming between whatever natural nectar flow we had going on with the magnolias, in combination with the feed I gave them, it looks like a lot of nice drawn wax. Probably good honey stores, food stores, just like the hive in the second position. So I'm going to pull a few frames real quick, take a look at the food stores, see if the queen's moved up here. Again, if I find eggs, we're good. If not, may have to move down into the bottom box, but it is what it is. Alright, just like the second hive, no doubts with this one having inadequate food stores. I mean, check this out. It's frame after frame after frame. So they were looking just fine. Perhaps feeding in early June was a good decision. So they have a lot of food stores for the summer dearth. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna get into the bottom box real quick, mainly to see if they have eggs, like I've said a few times. And I'll show you anything worthwhile. All right, just finished going through all the frames with number 2 here. And even though they have a few frames that have decent brood, I'm not seeing any eggs. And I didn't see the queen at all. So my thoughts are this: I'm just gonna get them put back together for now, mark them with a brick, and I'll have to get back into them probably tomorrow, because I'm also trying to keep in mind the queen could be in the top box since they don't have a queen excluder, and I was only pulling a few frames, looking at food stores, and if I didn't see any real signs that the queen's up there, I didn't go through all the frames. Plus, with how their behavior and temperament is and how they sound, it sounds like they're queenless, for those of y'all that know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I'm just gonna mark them with a brick for today as an indicator to follow up with them tomorrow and see if they are actually queenless, and if they are, just take the appropriate measures to try and get them queen right. So that is my summary for number 2 today. All right, down here at the hive in the 5th position, which is actually number 19, as y'all saw, it had a brick on it, so that was me indicating they were queenless at some point. And honestly, at this point, I can't remember when that was. So nonetheless, let's go through the frames, see if they've corrected their situation, and go from there. A decent amount of bees in here. I mean, not that you can really judge much from that, but it's always nice to see a decent population versus what folks consider a weak hive. All right, hey, check this out. Look at the amount of waggle dances. You see that? I mean, there is a nectar flow close by. Of course, I don't remember what that close by is. It's a few hundred yards, I think, like 50 to maybe 150 meters actually, but don't quote me on that. I am working on some study material in an effort to take the journeyman test here very soon at the summer meeting. But yeah, no kidding, look at that. 1, 2, 3, yeah, there's a nectar source close by. It's pretty cool. All right, very second frame, a few things, right? Check out how beautiful that brand new wax is. Doing a great job storing some honey, probably sugar water. But yeah, no doubt, I don't know if that's gonna come up or not. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But at the very top there, you should see eggs. And if you don't, you just gotta believe me. So they're queen right. That is awesome. But I still want to go through the frames in an effort to find her so I can get her marked. Because if the colony was marked with a brick, I have a feeling I have not had a chance to mark her. But yeah, no kidding. She is doing great. Alright. I got eyes on her. And I think she has eyes on me because she's moving kind of fast, which is fine. Which also means I think she's aware that I'm in here. So she's on this frame somewhere. Nice size to her. There she is right there. Alright, let's get her caged, marked, and then released. Huh. It's always nice when they just crawl right into the cage. Alright. Yeah, she's doing a fantastic job. No kidding. Almost every single cell that I've seen has eggs. So let me put the hive back together. They've made quick use of all that feed, so here in about a week, like I was saying in the introduction, I'll give all the colonies more sugar water. But let's get her marked real quick and released. All right, pretty easy. let's get her released, and then I can remove the brick from this hive since they are queen right. And again, she is doing a fantastic job, which is always nice to see. Come on now. Other way. Nope. Alright, let's see. There she goes. Alright, down here at the hive in the 6th position. So just pop the top, take a quick look in the top box. Of course, it looks like they have a few frames that are filled nicely, or at least that's how it appears from the top. Yeah, not bad. Looks like they made use of the supplied sugar water a few weeks ago. So just like the previous colonies. Man, that doesn't want to stay there. Okay, just like the previous colonies. Take a quick look through the top box, see if the queen's moved up here. Quick check on their food situation. They're just drawing some funky comb. Most of the time that has to do with spacing issues, but yeah, it looks like I don't know. They're doing okay. Not as good as the others, but nonetheless they have some food stored away. So I'm just gonna get into the bottom box real quick and see how that's looking. You guessed it, customary first look. So yeah, decent amount of bees, not as many as others. This is number 11, which, if my memory serves me right, this was one of the very first swarms I caught this year, and I believe I pulled a decent amount of honey from them too, which that's also a first for me, to pull honey from a swarm. But yeah, same thing. Pull the feeder just to give myself some space, pull a few frames, checking for eggs, and that's it. All right, I'm on the 4th frame. Decent brood, found some eggs. Really just curious to pull this next frame because I haven't found the queen yet and starting to run out of frames. But again, they have eggs. Sometimes I do this just out of real just curiosity, honestly. There's really no reason to, especially once you've found eggs. They obviously have a laying queen. So all right, if she was on here, that'd be pretty cool, but she is not, doesn't appear to be. So yeah, just gonna get them put back together. Queen right, looking okay, decent food stores. I'm sure that will increase later in the month once I feed them again. But yeah, they're looking just fine for this time of year. All right, just pop the top on the hive in the 7th position, which is hive number 14. Nice amount of bees in the top box here with a lot of newer looking wax. So I'm assuming they put to use the feed in combination with maybe some remaining nectar sources from a few weeks ago. But yeah, same thing, pull a few frames, see if the queen's laying in the top box. If not, get into the bottom, look for signs they're queen right, and call it a day. All right, I found eggs on the 2nd frame. I just moved over to the next frame just to look a little further, and yeah, they're queen right. She's doing a nice job. I'm not gonna really spend a lot of time going through the entire box looking for her, even though I do that occasionally. Yeah, they are queen right, looking okay, nice food stores. So no concerns with this one. All right, down here at number 12, which is one of the ones I need to spend some time in. I spoke about in the introduction. So I moved 2 frames from number 17 right next door into this one on June 6th, which is about 16 days ago. So I marked those 2 frames. I think I placed them in the center. Well, a little off to the center. I marked them with a green dot. I'll show you that here in a second, but very, very curious. Yeah, these 2, very curious to see if they've come queen right. They've used every drop of their feed, so that is the main thing I'm checking with this one today. Again, remove the feeder, look for some signs that they're queen right, and go from there. And I'll show you anything interesting, of course, here in a second. All right, so this is one of the frames I was talking about, and no kidding, at the very top, I don't know if it's going to come up, right under the band of honey, so your top left, those open cells have 1 to 2 day old eggs. And this is like your textbook frame with a band of honey, open cells with eggs, and capped brood. So I'm going to take my time. I'm actually going to go through all the frames in this colony and look for the queen, get her marked, of course, released, and call it a day. And I can proudly remove the brick because they are queen right. All right, I just found her. There she is right there. Beautiful, beautiful queen. Man, look at her. That's a nice one right there. And they raised her on their own, just with 2 frames from number 17. And I've actually considered, well, not considered, I have the tools to start grafting. But look at that. If that's the brood pattern from this queen, I imagine I could either use her eggs out of this hive, or considering she came from number 17, use eggs from number 17 to graft. But I don't know much about that right now. I'm gonna do some research and reading throughout the summer and into the fall, and that's definitely something I want to do starting next year. I mean, she is, holy smokes, this hive's gonna blow up real quick. Ton of eggs, great food stores. Yeah, they're looking pretty nice. All right, she's marked. Let's get her released. And there she goes. Just a quick look at some of the top frames, or the top box frames in number 17. They're doing a good job. They're drawing out some nice new wax, I'm assuming with the feed provided. It definitely looks like they need some more feed in order to draw out more wax. No real signs. I mean, that is just beautiful. No real signs the queen's up in the top box just yet, but give them time. Oh, holy smokes. Look at that. You gotta be kidding me. All right, let's put them back together. So definitely misspoke on that. Yeah, 17 looking good. I also had the thought that based off the queen that y'all just saw, well, not this one, the previous hive that I marked, number 12, considering the bees were able to make a queen that nice, looks wise, mated wise, and with her brood pattern, since 1, 2, 3, the hive in the 4th position, I'm pretty sure is queenless, I might take a few frames from number 17 later today, maybe just 2, just like I did for number 12, put them into the 4th frame, or I'm sorry, the 4th hive, the hive in the 4th position, and just give them 2 weeks. And yeah, if 17 can produce, 17 or actually 12 really, because 12 has a lot of nice frames full of eggs that could get another colony queen right in a matter of a few weeks. But yeah, just a few thoughts. That was funny. Doesn't look like hive number 17's queen is in the top box yet. Full frame, and boom, she's right there. All right, so you guessed it, I'm gonna move on to the next one right here. They have a brick, and I think that is either swarm number 12 or 13, which is hive number 3 or 20. But yeah, I'm gonna spend a little more time in them because I have not looked at them at all, like I said in the intro. So yeah, let's give them some smoke and see how that swarm's looking. All right, so I have this colony marked as number 20, and I don't remember if that's swarm 12 or 13. That part really doesn't matter. But if you didn't watch that video, I actually got them fed the same night I moved them into the bee yard, which is just fantastic to me. One of the perks of having the ability to feed in bulk very quickly and very easily. So same thing, just gonna move the frame feeder out of the way, and then just start going frame by frame, see what they've been up to. So I might be mistaken, I don't think I am, but this, yeah, these frames were brand new, and look at what they've done with the provided feed, which is fantastic. That's exactly what I want to see. Nice new wax, a lot of stored food in the form of capped honey, which is most likely sugar water. But yeah, I'm just gonna go frame by frame and see what I can determine. So I already know they're queen right. A lot of eggs on this frame. So I really just want to find her so I can get her marked. And then I can determine if they swarm, of course. But so far so good. It's a nice looking colony. In fact, this next frame looks pretty darn nice too. Let's look at that together for the first time. Oh yeah. Check that out. Man, that is just a textbook frame. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna keep looking for the queen. I'll show that to you, of course. But so far so good. If I don't find her for whatever reason, no concerns with this one. Yeah, there she is right there, moving nice and slow. Found her on the 5th frame. A little bit of a darker queen. It's kind of cool. And again, this was a swarm from late May, I believe. But yeah, there we go. Caged. Get everything put back together. Get her marked, get her released. And that's it for this one. But yeah, they were doing an excellent job, which is just really nice to see. Alright, she is marked. Let's get her released. And that's it for this one. Nice looking swarm queen. Come on. Sometimes it takes them a while to get out of the cage for whatever reason. Come on now. Oh, there you go. Fall down into the cage. Or actually into the, yeah, okay. There you go. Quick first look into the top box of number 4. A lot of nice drawn wax. Doesn't look like much of it is capped with food stores, but we'll see here in a second. So same thing as usual, pull a few frames, see if the queen's up in the top box. If not, quick look in the bottom box, mainly for eggs and brood health. Find the queen, that's a perk, but overall they should be queen right. It's just a matter of checking at this point. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell just by looking down into a box, but they actually have some decent food stores. Decent enough to get them through the summer dearth period. Doesn't look like the queen's moved up into the top box, which is fine. But yeah, they have some decent food stores. So I'm just gonna get into the bottom box, same thing as usual, and show you anything worth sharing. I'm over here on frame 4, and I had the thought, you know, get the flashlight, check for eggs, and yeah, sure enough, they're still queen right. The dark comb is just really, it's really hard to see eggs without some assistance. And I haven't said that in a while, but just get yourself a relatively cheap flashlight. I mean, that one's pretty bright, but I don't think it costs more than 20 bucks on Amazon. But yeah, just get yourself a flashlight and you'd be surprised. Years ago, I used to, I would dismiss frames like this, thinking there weren't any eggs or anything, and then somebody suggested to just to get a flashlight, and I was so surprised at how many frames contained eggs, and a lot of eggs, but I didn't think they did, just because I couldn't see them. with the naked eye, or without any assistance really. But yeah, no kidding. Same thing with this one. You would think it doesn't have any brood, but yeah, sure enough, eggs in almost every single cell. So that's the tricky thing when you have older, darker comb. It may be your brood health may be a lot stronger than you think, and all you need is a flashlight to help. I'm here at number 5, and this is the first colony today that has really had the top lid, the telescoping cover, sealed down to where I needed to use the hive tool. They have a lot of bees up in this top box, so I kind of anticipate this hive being pretty full, but we'll see here in a second, and sometimes I'm not wrong. Let me show you all this. Good Lord. Check out, one, all this bridge comb between the frames and the top box, but I have a feeling, man, I have a feeling they used the feed that I gave them and made a ton of food stores. Actually, let's lift this. Yeah, that box is heavy. All right, I'll pull a few frames and show you a few things. Of course, like I've said a few times, it's impossible to tell because I don't dye the feed that I give them. But yeah, that's the 3rd frame, pretty much full frame of food. Check out the 2nd frame here. That is awesome. Again, nothing for me to harvest, but I have a feeling they used the 2.5 gallons that I gave them a few weeks ago and put it to immediate use, which is exactly what I wanted them to do in order to try and get through the summer dearth. So that's nice to see. That's one of the things I've wanted to see, is the queen to start using the top box. I've done that for quite a few years, summer leading into the fall, as a means for the hives to overwinter with a deep and a medium. Seems to work, at least for me. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through the frames and see what I can find. Yeah, I'd say this hive's doing just fine. I mean, the amount of food stores they are packing away. So same thing, pull the hive feeder, check out a few frames. Pretty confident they're queen right, given the capped brood in the top box, which is always nice to see, especially this early in the year. But yes, I'm still gonna take the time to do the same thing just to double check and go from there. All right, frame number 2, right here, we have eggs, so that's all I'm gonna do with this one. Given the amount of bees, I do not feel like disturbing them as any more than I need to, and that's it really. So eggs, queen right, very, very healthy. No sense in going frame by frame because there's a good chance she's in the top box, especially since the top box has several patches of brood. But excellent food stores, ton of bees. This box is pretty darn heavy. All the things you want, especially late June. All right, so this one, which is number 5, looking great. All right, down here at 15, and oh man, they seem like they have a lot of bees. And in fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I only have 9 medium frames in the top box. I'm assuming I just ran out. So let's take a look at that. Pull 1 or 2. Yeah, they're doing a nice job drawing out some wax. I'm curious to see how this goes because they seem a little frantic, which is usually an indication they're queenless. But then again, I just opened them up, so it is a bit early to make that kind of call. All right, the top box on 15 is looking pretty nice. I just want to get into the bottom box for the same reasons I've said a few times throughout the day. It's got some nice weight to it. Holy smokes, that is interesting. And I think that's because I have shallow frames in this box for whatever reason. But yeah, no kidding. Look at that. All right, same thing. I'm just gonna remove the division board feeder, gives myself some space, and see if they have eggs and call it a day at that point. All right, no kidding. Very first frame, eggs right below that capped brood. So it can be as easy as that, and honestly that is exactly what I'm gonna do with this one. Like I said before, I really don't want to disturb the colonies too much. Just let them be. But that's it. As easy as that. All right, on to the next one. Give y'all a first look at number 6, and yeah, they have a nice amount of bees in the top box to include. From this angle, looks like some nice drawn wax, or capped frames is what I meant to say. But yeah, I'm just gonna pull a few frames, see what they got going on in the top box, food stores, maybe some brood, get into the bottom box if I need to, and that'll be it for this one. All right, third frame from the top box. Nice food frame, right? Flip her on over. We got some nice larvae that should be capped in a few days, and I kind of doubt this will come up just because how dark the comb is. But yeah, there's some eggs. Third frame in the top box, just like that. So that's it. It can be that quick, folks. All right, down here at what's marked as hive number 3. This was one of the 2 most recent swarms, number 12 or 13. So just like the previous one, wow, man, just like the previous one, I need to go through this colony as in a full inspection and just give them an overall look. But I am really looking for the queen in an effort to get her caged and marked, and I'll show you that, of course, and anything else worthwhile. Let's take a look at this first frame together real quick. But yeah, just packing away some food. Okay, the search is on for the queen. All right, there she is right there. Let's get her caged, marked, and call it a day. She's doing a really nice job too. All right, there we go. Get everything put back together in the meantime. Get her marked here in a second. And then I can remove the brick, because I know for a fact they are queen right. It's nice to see. Right. Here we go. Let's get her out, and there she goes. Sometimes you need to help them. There you go. Come on, get down in there. Alright, good enough. Let's pop the top on the next one, which is 7. The outer lid was pretty well sealed down. And given the amount of bees in the top box here, I imagine this hive's pretty full. Yep, sure enough. You would think there's a nectar flow going on, and I highly doubt there is. I think this is the effects of feeding them 2.5 gallons of feed and them using it in a matter of a week. But yeah, same thing. I don't need to repeat myself at this point. Show you anything worthwhile here in a second. I'm going to try and show you this the best I can without making a huge mess. But I just remembered this top box has shallow frames in it, and I finally got the box pried apart. But let me show you what happens when you have a strong colony. Hopefully you can see that. You leave shallow frames in a box. Yep. I'm just gonna leave them alone for now. That is a problem for another day. All right, you guessed it, down here at number 8, which is the very next one. And not sure what they have going on. I'm definitely going to get into the bottom box, and the reason I say that is the top box, they just unlike most of the colonies today, they did not use, or it doesn't look like it, right, any of the feed to do much with the top box. So that's kind of concerning. I'm definitely going to go through these frames for the same reasons, see if they're queen right. But this box is wow, holy smokes, it is extremely light, so that's really concerning. And this box is real light too. They can definitely use more feed, but I'm really curious to see how the brood's looking, whether they're queen right and kind of what they've been doing, because the feed's gone, but they have not used it the same as the rest of the colonies. All right, definitely not looking great for this one. Mainly the first indicator was the lack of food in the top box, how light the bottom box is, and then I'll show you this if it comes up or not. A ton of, just a lot of remnants of wax cappings, which is a sign usually when a hive gets robbed out. So I'm going to take the bottom box off, clean off the bottom board, put them back together, but I need to do something with them tomorrow, whether that's combining these bees with another colony. Coincidentally, I have a swarm on the white trap right there, which hasn't really seen much activity this year, so it could be this hive. There's no way to tell really, but yeah, put them back together, clean off the bottom board, just get all that crud out of there. Saw a small hive beetle crawling around, and actually there is a wax moth or a small hive beetle, because they look about the same from this far away, larva crawling around, which obviously is not a good sign. That's a sign. They usually move in when you have a very weak hive, which is exactly what this appears to be. So I got a few things to do, a few preventative measures before it's a total loss, but that's what I'm going to do with it. And then tomorrow I just need to figure out how to get them healthy, whether it's making a split from a stronger hive, neighboring hive maybe, adding 5 frames to this one to get them going and maybe they can raise their own queen, or just totally combining them with another colony. All right, down here at number 9, just like a lot of the colonies, I think because I fed them so much at once, they have a lot of very nice drawn comb, bridge comb. But yeah, I'm just gonna check a few of the top box frames. I'll show you anything interesting and then get into the bottom box if I need to. But if I find eggs in the top box, that'll be it for this one. You may start to think I'm the queen whisperer. So this is the second frame I pulled, which is frame number 5, right in the middle of the top box. And there she is. So with that, I'm pretty much done. But check this out. She's been busy in the top box, which is fantastic to see. Okay, let's get them put back together and call it a day. Pretty cool. Pretty cool to see for sure. All right. Doesn't get much easier. But yeah, they're looking pretty good. Queen right, no doubt. And that's it for this one. All right, just 2 to go, and that's it for late June. Just popped the top on number 10 and they're looking nice. A lot of bees in the top box. Pretty fat frames, most likely completely drawn. I'll take a look in a second, but yeah, same thing. Maybe feeding is quite the key to getting some healthy hives in early to midsummer. All right, first frame I pulled, which is frame number 3. Nice food, some capped brood. Just gonna set them aside. Pull the next frame, which is frame number 4. See how this looks. Yeah, same thing. It's exactly what I was hoping the colonies would do once I removed the queen excluder, which is just slowly start expanding the brood chamber into the medium box, and they've done a pretty nice job. Most of them have, at least. That's a nice food frame. All right, yeah, I might just get into the bottom box here in a second and just check for eggs, really. That's a nice one. Yeah, they're looking pretty good. A lot of nice food stores. Okay, just put the top box together and get into the bottom. Just a quick check to see if they're queen right and finish things up for the day here soon. You guessed it. Just a quick look at the bottom box, and not surprised at all to see what we're looking at right here. Healthy amount of bees. You can see a lot of food stores on the outside. Feeder's completely dry, so I have no doubt the colonies will use the sugar water that I'm going to provide them next weekend. Alright, there she is. Trying to hide from me, but I see her. She might pop out on this side. Where'd she go? Yeah, there she is right there, if you can see her. Top of the frame. Yeah, nice dark queen. Alright, well, mystery solved if they're queen right or not, so let's just get everything put back together and finish up with the very last colony here in a second. It's going pretty smoothly today. I'll do a summary here in a little bit, but yeah, one more to go. Alright, down here at 13, which is the very last colony to get into today. They've had a lot of nice entrance activity, so again, quick check, see if they're queen right, and that's it. That's it for today. Well, can't always be rainbows and unicorns, so this kind of sucks, and I've dealt with this earlier this season, and I'll try to show you this as best as I can. But if you can see into some of the cells, there are too many cells that have multiple eggs, and then the other indicator is all the all the drone brood, the raised brood. Those are signs you have a laying worker. So it's not uncommon, and I've experienced this also, it's not uncommon to see a few cells that have multiple eggs when you have a newly mated queen, but not this many. And this is the very first frame. Since I need to come out here tomorrow anyway for number 8, which is the one I showed you, it looks like they got robbed out and they're also queenless. And I have one other marked hive, and I'll summarize all this when I'm wrapping things up here shortly. I have one other hive with a brick marking them as being queenless. So yeah, I've got a few things to do. Luckily I come out here on Saturdays, which gives me Sunday as kind of a buffer day in case I run into some headaches like this. I'll get into that swarm tomorrow as well, and if I can find the queen from that swarm, I will cage her in one of the JZBZ or GZBZ queen cages, put a marshmallow in there of course, and introduce her back into this last one here, which I think is 13. But yeah, seeing what I'm seeing on the very first frame with the amount of cells that have multiple eggs, not just like 2 or 3, but several, and then looking at the amount of drone brood that is capped and will probably be capped here in the next few days, I'm pretty confident they have a laying worker, which kind of sucks because that means they've been queenless long enough, and there's a good chance one of those swarms, number 12 and 13, which is now colony 3 and 20, there's a good chance that was one of their queens and workforce with the bees and all. But yeah, anyway, let me go through the rest of this box. I'll show you anything interesting, but oh, that sucks because it's just such a pain. But luckily, again, I have a swarm in a box that I'll show you part of this video as well, probably tomorrow. And what not a better time to have a swarm, because I need that queen to get number 13 queen right again. All right, that about does it for me today. It's 2 o'clock, temperature's 94, heat index is 102 or 104. And I know this might be hard to believe, but honestly, it feels great out here. I am not really sweating as much as I usually am, which is kind of odd, but yeah, no kidding. I was surprised to get through all 20 hives today with relative ease. Maybe that has something to do with not getting into them as often, or maybe it doesn't. Hard to tell, right? Yeah, let's do a quick summary. Walk down to the beginning of the yard here. So the very first hive, which is number 16, I'm gonna grab a medium box before I'm completely done for the day. Add it to that one since they need it. Number 1, number 18 is looking good. 2, questionable. I need to get back into them and see what's going on. It seems like they might be queenless. I don't remember which ones. Number 12, I think, had a brick to mark they had something going on previously, but they've resolved their issue. I think I found the queen and marked her. Yeah, actually, yeah, they produced an excellent queen from 2 frames, 2 very nice frames with a ton of eggs and some very young larvae from number 17. So I might do the same for number 2. I'll either take 2 frames from 17 or 12, because 12 has a ton of nice frames, move it down into number 2, and then give them 2 to 3 weeks and see what they can do. Let's see, 20, that was one of the more recent swarms that I caught. They're looking fine. 4, 5, 15, 6, all good. Number 3 was the other recent swarm I caught. They're looking pretty good. I think this is the one where I have shallow frames in the medium box, and they've packed away a ton of food. I really hated to make that mess, but I wanted to show y'all. I thought that'd be kind of cool. And they do this often, which is kind of strange. 8 got marked with a brick. Pretty sure they're queenless, and there's like practically really no bees in that colony, so I'll have to figure something out with them. 9, found the queen on like the 2nd or 3rd frame. 9 or 10, one of those 2, looking good. And number 13 marked with a brick because it looks like they have a laying worker. I'd rather have a queenless hive and not deal with a laying worker situation than a queenless hive with a laying worker, because I've only dealt with it once this year and once to my knowledge and memory. But it is, I don't know, it's just a pain. It's just a pain in the butt, really. So as I'm about to finish things up out here, I'm gonna get on top of the ladder, pop the top on the white swarm trap here. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if I swapped out the medium frames with deeps. I think I did. And if I did, fantastic. I just wanna pop the top and see what they have going on. And if I didn't, I have enough swarm traps not in use that have deep frames to where I can easily do that today before they start drawing out a ton of wax on the bottom of the medium frames, if they're still in there. All right, that does it for me, folks. I'll be out here tomorrow to take a look at those 1, 2, 3 hives. Not just take a look at, but try to figure out a way forward so they can get better by July. And then of course add the 1 medium box to the first colony, which I think I said that, but in case I didn't, number 16. But yeah, they're looking great. I'm gonna feed them next weekend to take them through July, or into July, through like maybe the first week or 2 of July. But based off of the amount of food in most of the colonies in the top boxes and the amount of wax they've drawn out, it makes me really believe feeding them as much as I did when I did was a really good choice, because I don't think anything's in bloom right now. I'm pretty confident our nectar flow ended early. It started early and it ended early, because it usually lasts through about mid-June. But I'm pretty confident it was finishing up around mid to late May, because that's the last time, Memorial Day actually, that's the last time I pulled honey. So that's it for me today. I'm actually gonna be out here tonight to treat them for the 4th time with oxalic acid on a weekly interval, and then that's it until about mid-July. So hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, of course. If you like our content, please subscribe to the channel. As we know, it doesn't cost anything, but it shows us a lot of gratitude and appreciation that y'all enjoy our content. And if you're looking for some truly delicious honey, you're in luck, because we have some. Just contact us through the Linktree link in our banner. That'll take you to the Linktree site, of course. Our contact email's in there, phone number, You can DM us on Instagram, message us through Facebook, or leave a comment on any of our YouTube videos, and we'll help coordinate the details to get some of our honey into your hands. And if you're watching the video by now, thank you, or at least this far. We appreciate it because they do get kind of lengthy. But hey, check it out. Mike's Farm, Northwoods Urban Farm on Henderson, and Grants Creek currently carry our honey. Soon, we might have some honey over at The Blend and over at the Postal Annex on Yop Road. But you can also buy it from us direct. But we just wanted to take the time and let you know that you can find our honey in those locations, and also a way to say thank you to those business owners in supporting us with getting our honey into their retail locations. All right, that's it for me. Cole's Farm here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. A nice, very hot mid to late June Saturday, but again, feels absolutely fantastic. Until next time. All right, hey, good morning everybody. So here it is the following day, Sunday, June 23rd, right at 9:30. Temperature is 83 degrees, humidity is 77%, and it already feels like 90 degrees, which is the heat index. And it feels a lot more hot today than yesterday. So my time out here is gonna be actually pretty short, or at least that's the idea, and I'll walk you through here in a second specifically what I intend on doing today. The bee yard is pretty darn active already, which is a good thing. So number 2, I called them queenless yesterday, so that's the first hive I'll get into today. And then as we go down here to number 8, they look like, I mean, they have practically nothing going on. Speaking of, something is going on with number 10. I don't know if I'm catching the tail end of a swarm or whatever they're up to, but that's pretty interesting. And then number 13, of course, as I finished up yesterday, they swarmed at some point, and then long enough between inspections, which was about 35 days, give or take, for them to develop a laying worker situation, which, like I said yesterday, I've dealt with once. Frustrating. It is fixable, it just takes time. So that's what I plan on doing today. And considering how healthy the majority of the hives are, my fix, or at least my plan to fix number 2, is to take 2 or 3 frames from number 17, which number 17 got number 12 very healthy. That's a great looking queen, and in fact she's doing extremely well also. So I'm either going to take 2 or 3 frames from 17 or 2 or 3 from 12 to get number 2 moving in the right direction, and then depending whichever hive I don't take frames from, I'll take 2 or 3 to get number 13 healthy, and I might have to get into number 10 to see what they got going on. But to get number 8 healthy, I just need to pick a colony and essentially make a split. I'm just going to move 4 frames over from the deep, preferably with a lot of capped brood, eggs, larvae, all the usual suspects, so they can develop a queen. And then probably move 4 or 5 frames from one of the top boxes that's pretty heavy on food, just to give them adequate food stores. So that's what I plan on doing today. So again, it is noticeably more hot than it was yesterday, so of course keep that in mind when you're out in your yard for a few hours, because it's very easy to get very involved with the bees and doing certain things between inspections, splits, etc. Don't be a heat casualty. That's the main takeaway. But yeah, so all I have to do is really get into 1, 2, 3 hives, get them healthy, move a few frames, which is very easy, make a split, 1 or 2 splits, I guess. So really not a lot of time out here, or I don't anticipate, maybe 2 hours tops, and that's just taking my time. And then let me show you this real quick before I get going. So I don't really know what they're up to. I cracked the lid yesterday afternoon as I was wrapping things up. They started to move into the box, and then this is what I found this morning. So yeah, not too sure, but that's that. All right, I'm just gonna get the smoker going, and then I'll show y'all just a few things, but there really ain't much to, just moving some frames around. And then considering how well, again, considering how well the frames from 17 got number 12 queen right with that big, beautiful queen, and she is doing a fantastic job. It's just a matter of time. So June 23rd, let's see, so about mid-July, yeah, for sure, mid-July. Hopefully, right? Hopefully number 2, 8, and 13 are good to go. So that's my no later than, really, to check them to see if they've become queen right, and number 13, well, queen right and resolved the lane worker situation. But anyway, yeah, come join me to wrap things up for late June, and that'll be it for the month. All right, so I'm actually down here at number 12. I just wanted to make sure the queen wasn't on the 2 frames I plan on transferring, so I took the time to look through the hive to find her, which, there she is, right? All right, let me get the 2 frames from number 2 that I'm adding to number 12. Let me get them put in, and then I'll show you the 2 frames I'm taking from number 12 to move down to number 2. All right, so number 12 is put back together here in a second. All right, good to go. And then I thought this was kind of funny. So coincidentally, the 2 frames, you see the little green dot right there? The 2 frames that I'm taking from number 12 to move down to number 2 to get them queen right are the 2 frames that I moved from number 17 to number 12 to get them queen right. And the reason I'm doing that is because, I mean, they are just jam-packed with eggs. So I don't have to mark anything because they're already marked, but I'm gonna move these down to number 2, and that's it for this part of today. All right, so there you have it for number 2. They still have a brick on top to indicate, really just as a reminder for myself, that something's going on with them, and the bricks usually mean that they were queenless, so it just gives me a reminder to check on them. So I initially got into 17, and I wasn't really liking what I was seeing in the bottom box, so I just switched over to 12, remembering what I saw from yesterday. A lot of nice frames with a ton of eggs, young larvae. So in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, I'll check on number 2. Pretty confident they'll be good by then. All right, so switching gears down to this side of the yard, I was thinking about my game plan for these, and I think for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna split number 7 into number 8 to get number 8 moving along, and then just split number 10 into number 13 for the same reason. So all deeps are 8 frames at this point because of the division board feeder taking up 2 frames. So it's just a matter of moving 4 frames from 7 to 8, and then 4 frames from 10 to 13, and that's pretty much it. So I'll show you a few things as I go along, but really not a whole lot to it. Actually, I'm gonna take number 9 and split it into number 8 because I forgot number 7 has nothing but shallow frames in the top box and the medium. And I think between whatever natural nectar flow we had going on recently, and well, since May 10th when I added, I think it was May 10th when I added or changed over the equipment to the Hoover hives and then fed them June 10th, I think. They've definitely filled in the space between, or the space that's created between shallow frames and medium frames in a medium box. So yeah, I'm just gonna take 9 split to 8, 10 split to 13, like I said, and that'll be it for today. All right, just finished up moving 4 very nice frames from number 9 into number 8. Ton of eggs, very young larvae. I shook off, as I'm moving the frames from number 8 to number 9, I shook off all the bees just to help number 8 retain their population. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Basically just made a split between number 8 and number 9. Again, in an effort to get number 8 queen right. So I'm gonna get everything put back together. And then it's just a matter of checking on number 8 in a few weeks. I'm also going to move a few frames from number 9's top box into number 8's top box. I might actually split those as well, just to give number 8 more food to work with. All right, that does it for me. If you can't tell by the bees hovering me and the camera, they were definitely not happy. And when I say that, I meant number 10. So, to recap, again, took a few from number 12 to get number 2 right. Actually just 2. Essentially split 9 into 8. Mark number 8 with a brick like usual. I'll check on them by mid-July. They should be queen right. And then moved, same thing, split number 10 into number 13. So 13 has 4 very nice frames of very young eggs, very young larvae, and they'll get a little bit of a boost with some brood here in a little bit. Well, there's a bunch of cap brood as well. So yeah, same thing. So out of the 20, I just have 3 that are in a kind of TBD pending status, which is not bad at all. And I think I said it earlier in the video, I'll be out here next weekend to feed them, and that should take care of them through about mid-July. So that's it for today. Anticipated this taking a few hours. I'm only out here for an hour, which isn't terrible. And then let me finish things up by showing you the white swarm trap. I am honestly not sure what these bees are up to, so you know, just something else to just keep an eye on, really. And we actually have some rain in the forecast in the next few days, so that'll be nice because it is extremely dry, which isn't a bad thing, but we do need rain. All right, folks, that does it for me. That's it for late June. Thanks for tuning in. Please like the video and subscribe if you enjoy our channel. See y'all next time.